The radio crackled to life at 2:17 a.m. I was halfway through my shift, nursing a lukewarm coffee in my patrol car parked behind the 24-hour gas station on Maple Street. Small towns like Riverdale are usually quiet at night, but 15 years on the force had taught me that darkness often conceals the worst of humanity. Officer Miller, we have a 10 to 80 at 1423 Pine Hollow Road. Possible domestic disturbance with minors involved. Neighbor reports hearing screaming and what sounds like breaking glass. My hand froze midway to my mouth, coffee forgotten. A 10 to 80 with children involved always sent ice through my veins. In my years as a police officer, these calls had shown me depths of cruelty I wished I could forget. Copy that. Dispatch. Officer Miller responding. ETA 4 minutes. I flipped on my sirens but killed them as I approached Pine Hollow Road. Tactical. Surprise could be crucial. This wasn't my first call to this address. The Mercer family had a file thick enough to worry any officer, but never enough concrete evidence to remove the children. Jason Mercer had a history of drug charges and suspected ties to local dealers. His wife, Elaine, had been in and out of the AA with accidents that raised red flags, but never her willingness to press charges. Their 3 children ages 8, 6, and 4 were the ones who kept me awake at night. As I pulled up half a block away, I noticed the house was mostly dark except for a faint light in what I knew to be the kitchen. The neighbor who called, Mrs. Abernathy, was standing on her porch in a bathrobe, arms wrapped tightly around herself against the October chill. I approached her first. They were at it again, she whispered, her voice shaking. Worse than usual. I heard him threatening to shut them up for good this time. Then glass breaking, the little one crying. She clutched my arm. Sarah, I've lived next door for 3 years. I've never heard it this bad. I nodded, squeezing her hand briefly. Stay inside, lock your doors. I've called for backup, but they're responding to an accident on the highway. It'll be a few minutes. You're going in alone? Fear widened her eyes. I didn't answer. We both knew I couldn't wait. The walk to the Mercer's front door felt longer than it should have. The yard was littered with forgotten toys and empty beer cans. A child's bicycle lay on its side, one wheel bent at an unnatural angle. The porch steps creaked under my weight, announcing my presence before I could even knock. I placed my hand on my holster, took a deep breath, and knocked firmly. Police. Open up. Silence. Then shuffling. A whispered curse. Mr. Mercer, this is Officer Miller. I need you to open the door. More shuffling, then the porch light flicked on, momentarily blinding me. The door opened a crack, revealing Jason Mercer's bloodshot eyes and the strong smell of alcohol and something chemical that made my nose burn. What do you want? His words slurred together. It's the middle of the night. We received a call about a disturbance, sir. I need to come in and make sure everyone's okay. He tried to straighten up to appear sober. Everyone's fine. Kids are sleeping, wife's sleeping. Just knocked over some stuff in the kitchen. Nothing to see. Behind him, I caught a glimpse of movement, a shadow passing quickly across the hallway. Too small to be his wife. Sir, I still need to come in and verify that for myself. His face hardened. You got a warrant? I don't need one if I have reasonable belief that someone inside might be in danger. I kept my voice calm, professional, though my heart was racing. Please step aside, Mr. Mercer. He started to close the door. Come back with a warrant or don't come back at all. I placed my boot in the doorway, preventing it from closing. Mr. Mercer, I'm not asking. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Jason lunged forward, shoving the door hard against my shoulder. I pushed back, using my weight to force it open. He stumbled backward, off balance from the alcohol, and whatever else was in his system. I entered the house, hand still on my holster, scanning for immediate threats. The living room was a disaster, furniture overturned, a broken lamp on the floor, what looked like blood smeared on the wall. The metallic smell of it mixed with the chemical odor I'd noticed earlier. "Where are the children, Mr. Mercer?" he sneered, regaining his balance. "None of your business. My house, my kids." From somewhere in the back of the house came a small, muffled cry. My blood ran cold. "Stay where you are," I ordered, unholstering my weapon, but keeping it pointed down. "Don't move." I backed away from him, moving toward the sound. The narrow hallway was dark, but I knew the layout from previous visits. 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. The children shared the room at the end of the hall. Another cry, definitely a child. Then a harsh whisper, "Shut up or he'll hear you." Not his voice, Elaine's. I reached the bedroom door, finding it locked from the outside, a sliding bolt that had no business being on a child's room. I slid it open quietly, pushing the door inward with my shoulder, weapon ready. The scene inside stopped my breath. Elaine Mercer stood in the center of the room, wild-eyed, a kitchen knife in her trembling hand. The 3 children were huddled in the corner, Emma, the oldest, with her arms protectively around her younger brothers, Tyler, and Liam. All 3 had visible bruises. Liam's pajama sleeve was soaked with blood. "Elaine," I said softly, holstering my weapon. "Guns make situations like this worse, not better. Put the knife down." Her eyes darted to me, unfocused, pupils dilated to pinpoints. She was high dangerously. "So, you don't understand," she whispered. "He said he'd kill them this time. Said they were too much trouble. I have to protect them." I realized with horror that she wasn't threatening the children in her drug-addled mind. She thought she was protecting them from Jason, from the world, from life itself. "I understand," I said, taking a careful step forward. "You want to keep them safe, but this isn't the way, Elaine. Let me help you." "Let me help them." Emma's eyes met mine over her mother's shoulder. At 8 years old, her gaze held the weariness of someone who had seen too much, too soon. She gave an almost imperceptible nod. "The police are here now," I continued, inching closer. "Jason can't hurt them anymore. But you need to put the knife down." Elaine's hand wavered. "He'll come back. He always comes back." "Not this time," I promised. "Not ever again." From the front of the house came the sound of a crash, followed by cursing. Jason probably trying to flee or destroy evidence. Elaine startled, the knife jerking upward. I lunged forward, grabbing her wrist with one hand while wrapping my other arm around her waist, pulling her away from the children. The knife clattered to the floor. Elaine collapsed against me, suddenly, boneless, sobbing. "Emma," I called softly, "can you and your brothers come with me? Carefully around your mom." The little girl nodded, guiding her brothers with the practiced ease of someone who had done this many times before. They skirted the wall, giving Elaine a wide berth until they reached my side. "Is there a back door?" I asked Emma. She nodded. "Through the kitchen." "Good. I want you to take your brothers and go to Mrs. Abernathy's house. Can you do that?" Another nod, resolute. "Tell her to call 911 again. Tell them Officer Miller needs immediate backup and an ambulance." As the children slipped away, I eased Elaine to the floor, quickly cuffing her hands behind her back. She offered no resistance, lost in whatever nightmare her mind had constructed. I had just secured Elaine when I heard heavy footsteps in the hallway. Jason appeared in the doorway, his expression murderous when he saw his wife in handcuffs. "You have no right," he snarled, advancing toward me. "This is my house, my family." I stood, placing myself between him and Elaine. "Jason Mercer, you're under arrest for child endangerment, domestic violence." and I glanced at the residue on the dresser, the makeshift lab equipment visible in the adjoining bathroom, manufacturing of illegal substances. He lunged up, me with surprising speed for someone so intoxicated. I sidestepped, using his momentum to slam him against the wall, twisting his arm behind his back. He fought hard, but years of training and the clarity of purpose gave me the advantage. Within moments, I had him cuffed as well, Dodd. As I marched him out of the bedroom, he continued to threaten and curse. I tuned him out, focusing instead on the knowledge that the children were safe, at least for tonight. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, court hearings, foster care placements, the slow grinding wheels of a system that too often failed the very people it was designed to protect. But tonight, 3 children would sleep without fear. Tonight, I had done what I swore to do when I first pinned on this badge: protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Outside, the wail of approaching sirens cut through the night. Backup finally arriving, I handed Jason off to the first officer through the door, briefing them quickly on the situation. Then I walked across the street to Mrs. Abernathy's house, where 3 traumatized children waited for a reassurance that the nightmare was truly over. Emma opened the door before I could knock. Her brothers huddled behind her, eyes wide with uncertainty. I knelt down to their level, looking into eyes that had seen far too much darkness. "You're safe now," I told them, my voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm me. "I promise you're safe." Emma studied my face, searching for the truth in my words. Then, with the wisdom of a child who had learned to trust actions over promises, she asked the only question that mattered: what happens next? The fluorescent lights of Riverdale Memorial Hospital cast harsh shadows across the emergency room waiting area. At 5 a.m., my adrenaline was fading, leaving behind bone-deep exhaustion. "More coffee, Officer Miller?" Nurse Martinez offered me a paper cup. "Thanks, Lucia. Any word on the kids?" She nodded. Liam needed 6 stitches defensive wound. Tyler has an untreated fracture. Emma's injuries are older. Healed fractures, scarring. That child has been protecting her brothers for a long time. I closed my eyes briefly. Social services. Overloaded. As usual, they'll likely separate the siblings. Can I see them? She hesitated, but led me to their room. Emma sat watching over her sleeping brothers, her expression guarded. "Officer Miller," she said softly. "Call me Sarah. How are you feeling?" She shrugged. "I'm fine." Liam's arm hurts, but the doctor gave him medicine. "And you, Emma? Are you really fine?" Her eyes met mine. "I'm scared. Not of Mom and Dad anymore, but of what happens next." "You're worried they'll separate you from your brothers?" A tear slipped down her cheek. "I promised I'd always take care of them. After our baby sister died, Mom started using the bad medicine and Dad got mean." My heart constricted. "That wasn't your fault, Emma." As I turned to leave, her small voice stopped me. "Sarah, will you make sure they don't separate us, please?" "I promise, Emma. I'll find a way." At the station, Captain Reynolds congratulated me on uncovering a drug operation, but my mind was elsewhere. "What about the children, sir? Social services is handling it. We do our part, then we step back." I received a call from Diane Wilson at Social Services. They had no placement for all 3 children together. "Give me until tomorrow," I said suddenly. "Just 24 hours to find an alternative." After leaving the station, I drove home, an idea forming. I had a spare bedroom, a stable job, experience with children. I called Diane back. "I think I found a placement for the Mercer children, all 3 of them, together." "That's wonderful. Which family?" I took a deep breath. "Not a family, me?" The silence lasted so long I thought we'd been disconnected. "You want to become a foster parent? To all 3 of them?" "Yes, those children need stability now. Let me do this." Come to my office in an hour. Bring documentation. I'll see what I can do. As I gathered my papers, the magnitude of what I was proposing hit me. By tomorrow, I could be responsible for 3 young lives. My quiet existence would transform into one of school schedules, nightmares, and therapy appointments. Yet something else rose to meet my fierce certainty that this was right. This was what I was meant to do. I had made a promise to Emma, and I intended to keep it. This is it, I said, opening the front door to my home. It's not very big, that everyone has their own space. Emma, Tyler, and Liam stood on my porch, clutching identical black garbage bags containing their belongings. 3 days of paperwork, home inspections, and emergency certification had culminated in this moment. We can stay together? Tyler asked, his voice small. Yes, I assured him. Of you, together. The first night was the hardest. Liam woke screaming from nightmares. Tyler refused to sleep in his own bed, eventually curling up on the floor beside his brother. Emma didn't sleep at all. I found her sitting against the wall, watching the door like a sentry. No one's coming to hurt you here, I told her gently. You don't know that, she replied, eyes haunted. You can't promise, she was right. I couldn't promise they'd never be hurt again, but I could promise to fight for them. With everything I had, days turned into weeks. We established routines, school, therapy, dinner together every night. The children began to unfurl slowly, like flowers that had been kept too long in the dark. Tyler discovered a talent for drawing. Liam's nightmares became less frequent. Emma still watched over her brothers, but sometimes, just sometimes, she allowed herself to be a child. There were setbacks. Parent-teacher conferences where I learned Emma had punched a boy who teased Liam about his scar. Court hearings where the children had to face their parents. Nights when all 3 ended up in my bed, seeking safety in numbers. One evening, as I tucked Liam in, he asked the question I'd been dreading. Are we going back to Mom and Dad? I sat on the edge of his bed. No, sweetheart. Your parents made choices that weren't safe for you, so we stay with you? For now, yes. And then? I hesitated. The truth was, I didn't know. Foster care was meant to be temporary. Reunification was always the goal, but with both parents facing serious charges, that seemed unlikely. Another relative might come forward, or they might enter the system permanently, but looking at his hopeful face, I made a decision that would change all our lives. And then, if you want, and if the court agrees, you could stay with me, forever. His eyes widened. You mean like adoption? Yes, like adoption. The word hung in the air between us, full of promise and uncertainty. From the doorway came Emma's voice. You'd want us? All of us? Forever? I turned to find her watching, Tyler half hidden behind her. Yes, I said. Simply, all of you. Forever. Emma studied my face with that penetrating gaze that seemed to see right through to my soul. Why? She asked Dot. It was a fair question. Why would a single police officer with a quiet, orderly life choose to take on 3 traumatized children? Why would I willingly turn my world upside down? The answer came easily. Because you deserve a family who loves you. Because you deserve to stay together. Because I took a deep breath. Because I think we were meant to find each other. Emma didn't rush to hug me. She didn't cry or make promises. Instead, she nodded once, decisively. Okay, she said. We'll try. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. There would be more nightmares, more therapy, more difficult days ahead. The road to adoption would be long and complicated, but as I looked at these 3 children, no longer just victims I'd rescued, but young people I'd come to love, I knew we would face whatever came next together. Sometimes the families we choose are stronger than the ones we're born into. Sometimes the bravest rescues aren't the ones that make headlines. but the quiet decisions to open our hearts when it would be easier to walk away. And sometimes, in saving others, we end up saving ourselves. 1 year later, I stood in the courthouse hallway straightening Tyler's tie. "You look very handsome," I told him. He grinned, revealing a gap where he'd lost a tooth last week. "Do I have to wear this all day?" "Just until the judge makes it official." Today was adoption day. After months of paperwork and court appearances, Emma, Tyler, and Liam would legally become my children. I noticed Emma wasn't with us and found her leaning against the wall outside the restroom. "Just thinking," she said when I asked if she was okay, "about that night when you came to our house. Did you know then that we'd end up here?" I shook my head. "I just knew you needed help. The rest happened one day at a time." "Sarah," her voice was suddenly small after today, "is it okay if I call you Mom? Not all the time, maybe, but sometimes." I blinked back tears. "I would be honored. I think I want to. Not because I'm forgetting our first mom, but because you're our mom now too, the one who chose us." The proceedings were brief. When the judge asked if they wanted to be adopted, their three voices rang out in unison, "Yes." Then, by the power vested in me, I hereby declare these adoptions final. Congratulations to the Miller family. We emerged into bright sunshine, surrounded by friends, my police colleagues, the children's teachers, our neighbors, and Mrs. Abernathy, whose phone call had set everything in motion. As we posed for photos, Emma tugged on my jacket. "Thank you," she said simply, "for keeping your promise." 1 year ago, I had made a split-second decision to enter a dangerous house alone. I had promised 3 frightened children they would stay together, that they would be safe. Today, that promise was fulfilled in ways I could never have imagined. As a police officer, I had seen the worst of humanity. But I had also witnessed extraordinary resilience, especially in children. The capacity to heal, to trust again, to build something new from the ashes of trauma. Emma, Tyler, and Liam had taught me that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about who stays when everyone else walks away. Sometimes it's about who fights for you when you can't fight for yourself. Ready to go home? I asked my children, my family. Emma slipped her hand into mine. "We're already home," she said. "We're with you